Sieges need an overhaul in Total War, and I cannot believe I am saying this, but modern Total War's sea battles are way better than the modern sieges. Let's start and take a look at what a siege should be. A castle should be something you have to take, not want to take. Castles should therefore have larger zones of control on the campaign map to lock off more territory. This will force the invader to not just walk around the castle and go for the wealthy cities, but to actually set up camp and attempt to take it. Siege combat needs to be more brutal and grueling. You as the player must want to avoid a full upfront assault at all cost, yet sometimes such a lucky escape should be unavailable. The attacker must use all their brain power and strategic skills to get into the settlement, taking minimal losses. Meanwhile, the defender should want to hold on for as long as possible, wait it out until reinforcements arrive or the enemy gives up. The defender, however, if the enemy does break through, must have reason to fight for more than just the wall and the plaza. A siege should be about fighting outside the walls, on the walls, down in the streets and up in the buildings, layer after layer of defensive structures using everything, man-made and natural, to your advantage, to keep the enemy at bay. So, how can this be done? I thought about it a lot. What makes sieges unique and enjoyable compared to a standard battle comes down to a heavy focus on equipment and unique tools. The attackers usually get rams, siege towers, ladders, and sometimes mines, whereas the defenders get barricades, towers, walls, and all of that. This is great, but I think it needs to be built upon. And I think Warhammer 3 looks kind of promising in that front. They have interesting features. Some people said it's now a tower defense game. Perhaps it is, but isn't that what a siege in warfare really is deep down? Layer after layer of defences, some of which still being built up mid-siege. This system that Warhammer 3 brings in, I think has good elements. The defenders should have way more options for structures to build at the start, but as time goes on, they should be able to build more. This means that once the front wall falls, they can then pull back and set up new defensive structures, giving them a reason to hold and fight in the streets, rather than go back to the plaza. However, it gets better. The attacker should also have custom options of stuff to build. Imagine building ladders inside the first layer of the walls to get ready for the next push. Imagine building defences on the outside to hold against enemy reinforcements or to protect your ranged troops. This is all historical. Back to the campaign map. Castles should be customisable. Having them separate from cities and as their own unique thing, I like. The player should have many options for defence. What type of walls do you want? Of palisades and then a stone wall? Or do you want to splash out and go for 3 layers of epic stone walls? Do you want to pay extra to have them sloped? Do you want archer towers that shoot faster? Or ballista towers, or do you want catapult towers, each with a different price and purpose? Do you want them square, or are you willing to pay more to have them round? Outside of the castle, do you want a ditch, a moat, a palisade, stakes? Up to you. Do you want a plain normal gatehouse, or do you want a drawbridge? Okay, do you want to side with boiling oil with that? Castles should be a menu of options. They should also look and feel unique, something that Thrones of Britannia does very well. Some are built into the mountains, some are on a hill, some are a little bit of both. The player should consider the terrain as well when developing their castles. If you are on high ground, stone walls may be too expensive, and a simple palisade may just do the trick, whereas if your castle is down holding a valley, then a very tough stone wall on the front would be needed instead. The same should be true for the attacker. Again, a menu of options. There should be multiple approaches, not just a one meta fits all. Maybe every 1 in 10 castles actually has a cave. Imagine you have hundreds of hours in the game, and then for the first time you see a small hole in the mountainside. Not too visible, but noticeable. Once you see it, you can then hover over it with a unit, order them in and see what happens. Maybe it's nothing, maybe they die, it's a trap, or maybe it becomes a secret route into the castle. And then the defender? I hope they saved up some defendable build points to get ready for such a surprise attack. Again, these should be rare if they do exist. Sea battles. Ships are a massive part of sieges, especially during the Crusades. Ships bring in supplies and reinforcements to the defenders, or can be used by the attackers as an entrance point. Sea battles will be needed to some extent. My final point is this: sieges were not done and fought in a day. They could take years. Would it be so strange to have it where you can attack and take the first layer of the wall, but then you decide, nope, I am done for now. Not enough build points, the men are exhausted, or we ran out of ammo. So you leave the battle. However, if you were to load back in, you still have captured that first layer, and your barricades and everything still in the same spot. This is how sieges were. They were fought in stages. Maybe even the defender may choose to counter-attack a few turns after to try and retake that first layer. I know this sounds like a lot, but basically at the end of the day, all I am really asking for is an updated and real version of what we were promised in Rome 2. Most stuff stated in this video was actually shown in the Siege of Carthage trailer. So at the end of the day, is it really too much to ask for? These are the sieges we need. They cannot be something that you can just get rid of with one click of the auto-resolve button. They need to be grueling and bloody, fought in stages, with the use of equipment and other unique features to make them stand out. They need to be customizable to give the player yet another reason to want to develop them and hold on to them. They need to incorporate their surroundings, merge with the terrain, use the coast and more. However, most importantly, I think they need to be rare. Sieges on this scale should be castles only, not for cities. The reason being, they are so brutal that eventually, if there's enough of them, they could become dull. So I want to avoid them being too repetitive. Think about your most epic sieges ever. They should be something that you remember for years and years, but if they are every 5 turns, then it will not have the effect that it needs. Anyway, leave a like if you agree. If not, comment down below why, or comment what I could have added. I have been MELKOR, and until the next one, Mel gone.